Today, Alexander Volkanovski is set to defend his featherweight championship against Ilia Topuria. But wait, there's more. How about Sugar Sean O'Malley will defend his bantamweight championship against Cheeto Marlon Vera? And just when you thought that the news was done and there was nothing else we can give you, not so fast. Here comes Sean Strickland defending his middleweight championship against Dricus Duplessis. Plus, there was a card that went down in Sao Paulo on Saturday. All of this and more we cover today on Matter of Fact MMA. Let's go. What's up? What's happening? I got my fizz on in my hand. I'm back with y'all. Your boy's been sick the last couple of days, but I'm here. I'm on YouTube, and I'm bringing you the news. So, let's get off into it. First of all, let's get off into the big news. Starting with Dana White took to Twitter, he took to everything. He put up the bat signal, and Dana White let everybody know 3 major fights yesterday. Let's start out with Alexander Volkanovski will step in the octagon to defend his featherweight championship against Ilia Topuria. This is going to happen in February. So, I'm all for this. I'm all about this. It's good to see Volkanovski's at least going to get an additional month to rest up after that KO knockout by Islam Makhachev. But I'm here for it. I'm excited about this fight because, for one, I mean, it's hard to pick against Alexander Volkanovski, especially at featherweight. So that's awesome. That's great to see. But to be honest with you, I want Volk to win. But if Topuria goes out there and beats him, that's fine with me because Ilia Topuria is a cool MFer, you know what I'm saying? And I'm down for this fight. Either way, I think the UFC wins. If Volk goes out there and wins, he's still sitting in the top position at featherweight. If Topuria goes out there and wins, he's cool. He looks good getting off the bus. He's got Spain behind him. He talks trash. You know, he picks fights with people in bars. I mean, you know what I'm saying? This guy is your all-around MMA fighter. So I'm here for it. Outstanding matchup going down in February. But what about Sugar Sean O'Malley, the pink-haired bandit, will step in the octagon to defend his bantamweight championship against Cheeto Marlon Vera. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Now we about to get into some matchups. You know what I'm talking about? So these two have already fought once before, in which, even though Sugar Sean doesn't admit it, Cheeto Vera won that fight due to, you know, some leg kicks, you know, might have hit the perennial nerve. Either way it goes, he deadened Sugar Sean's leg. His whole leg just went dead. It just limped. Hey, Sugar Sean, are you alive? Yeah, but my leg is dead. And his whole leg died. And he couldn't walk on it anymore. And that's what ended that fight. Here's the deal. I'm excited about this fight because if you would have told me, you know, a few months after him and Cheeto had fought before, and you were like, they're going to rematch, I would have said, Cheeto's definitely going to win that fight, right? But now that this is this new age, new and improved, you know what I'm saying? New and improved Sugar Sean O'Malley, who just went out there and defeated Aljo. I mean, bro, this fight is up for the taking. I mean, when you're looking at it, it's like, Cheeto Vera, you would think it's going to be hard to sleep him. You would think it's going to be hard to knock him out. And that's primarily what Sugar Sean does, right? So you're thinking that, but at the same time, Sugar Sean keeps defying the odds. And people that you think he's going to lose to, he beats. Whether or not he goes to the scorecards and maybe he gets gifted a decision, Piotr Jan. Nevertheless, bro, Sugar Sean gets the job done. So it's going to be interesting to see this fight. Right now at the moment, I'm leaning towards Sugar Sean in that. But who knows? We'll see as we get into the build-up. That's going to be an outstanding fight for the Bantamweight Championship. And now let's move on to the world correcting itself. Okay? The world finally correcting itself. Let's get into it. So, we had the former middleweight champion Israel Adesanya being a D, being a prick. He's out here acting like, Drickus don't get no title shot because he wasn't ready and he was injured. And me and my coach, Eugene, we decided he's not next. What did he do? He beat the Reaper, Robert Whittaker. That's what he did, bro. And, you got Izzy out here like, no, I'm not going to give him a title shot. I don't know. I'll show him. I'm going to step in there with Sean Strickland. Well, guess what? I was going to make a comment about dogs, but I'm not going to do that to Izzy. But guess what? You went out there, you looked silly, you got dropped by Sean Strickland, and you lost the fight. And then you got popped for DUI. Even though the DUI happened before the fight, but either way, you got popped for DUI. So you're out the conversation. The only conversation you in is when you're walking down the aisle with the real Nigerian king, Francis Ngannou. Now that we got the Izzy hate train out the way, the world is correcting itself because Hamzat broke his whole hand, his whole wrist, his whole arm fell off. So he's out the conversation for the moment. Sean Strickland is going to step in the octagon to defend his middleweight championship against the rightful number one contender, Drickus du Plessis, the man that went out there and defeated Robert Bobby Knuckles Whittaker. Now we're going to get down to it. Now we're going to get right. We're going to find out. In the words of Sean Strickland, two men are going to enter the octagon and they're going to do the man dance. And we're going to find out who the middleweight champion of the world is. That's what we're going to find out. This is the fight that we all wanted to see because let's just talk about the world correcting itself. Because Izzy really thought he was the main character and he was going to right everything, right all the wrongs of the world. And we're all in his movie. Not so fast. It's not your movie and you're not the main character. What we're going to see here is two men step in the octagon. Look, I'm not a Sean Strickland hater. I'm not a big Sean Strickland fan, although I was happy that he beat Izzy. But what I really want to see is Drickus du Plessis go out there and defeat Sean Strickland and become the middleweight champion of the world. Then I want Izzy to come back off hiatus. And I know, who cares? I'm just a weirdo fan named Matt. Who cares? But this is what I want. You know what I'm talking about? This is, I'm the main character on this video. This is what I want. Bro, I want Drickus du Plessis to beat Sean Strickland and then Izzy to come out of hiding and challenge Drickus du Plessis for the middleweight championship of the world. And if Dana White can make it happen, put it in Africa. Put it in Africa. But if he can't make it happen, okay, we'll do it, whatever. But I just want to see that fight. And here's the thing, man. I think this has been shaking the camera because I'm so hyped. Either way, if it's shaking the camera, I think it is. Either way, y'all gonna deal with the shaking of the camera. Nevertheless, bro, I want to see these two step in the octagon so we can finally find out, who is the rightful middleweight champion of everything, of the whole world. I'm sorry. I'm so hyped. I just want to see this fight. I want to see Izzy challenge Drickus for the belt. Even if Izzy wins, I wouldn't be excited about that, but all right, cool. Because I feel like Drickus is the rightful number one contender. The fight makes sense. It's what we really want to see. So hopefully that's how it plays out. Nevertheless, that's the big news. The three major fights released by Daddy Warbucks, Big Money, Deep Pockets Dana White. And that's what's going to happen. 2024 is looking up. If you're a UFC fan and if you're a part of UFC company, it's all looking up. Now I know they got a antitrust lawsuit going on and maybe it'll be looking down. But for right now, it's looking up. Let's move on. Last Saturday in Sao Paulo, Brazil, we saw in the main event Gelton Almeida go out there and defeat Derek Lewis in kind of a snoozer of a main event. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't the most exciting. And, shout out to Gelton. He got the job done. Uh, I don't know. There's a lot of arguments online of if he could have done more when they were on the ground, if he could have delivered more punishment to Derek Lewis to try to, make the fight more interesting, so to speak. But there's also the other side of the argument that the slightest mistake and generally Derek Lewis explodes, back to his feet. You know what I'm saying? We've seen him taken down many a time, but outside of Spivak, there hasn't been a lot of guys outside of Spivak and maybe Daniel Cormier, which Daniel Cormier didn't let the fight go long enough to hold him on the ground. You don't really see too many guys hold Derek Lewis down. But nevertheless, bro, that was the main event. Gelton Almeida went out there and did work. Let's talk about my guy, who I picked to win the fight. Nicholas Dalby goes out there and puts it on Gabriel Bonfim. When you're looking at that fight, first of all, we know Nicholas Dalby has tested positive for having that dog in him. They did a 21 in me, a 31 in me, a 13 in me. They did a DNA test, and what it came back is he's got canine DNA because the man got that dog in him. And in the first round, Bonfim tried to put that pace on him. Bonfim took him to the woodshed. You know what I'm talking about? Bonfim was like, oh, what's up? You got that dog in you? Well, let me lay these paws on you. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, man, Nicholas Dalby, he stayed composed. He never really got wobbled, in my opinion. But you could tell, like, that first round, his striking was a little off balance, I think, because Bonfim just stayed on him. And Nicholas Dalby never had a chance to set himself. But in the second round, as Bonfim began to tire, because he's put out all of this output, and the dog is still in there, that was all she wrote. And Nicholas Dalby goes out there, takes that win. Shout out to him. I saw his interview on Ariel Helwani's MMA Hour, Back in Your Life. And bro, what a guy, dude. You know what I'm saying? Not Ariel. Talking about Nicholas Dalby, what a guy, man. He's dealt with lots of depression, a lot of dark times. He's been a lot of dark places. It's good to see him on top. I think he's on a 4 or 5 fight win streak right now. He's definitely got a win streak in Brazil, so that's awesome to see. So it's going to be interesting to see where the UFC places him from here. Let's move on. How about Angela Hill, the veteran, goes out there and gets the job done against Gomez. Maybe it's Gomi. I'm not sure. Nevertheless, I was happy to see Angela Hill go out there, the veteran that she is. Looks like she's really been applying herself more as far as wrestling and grappling, at least, especially cage grappling. And she was able to tie up Gomez so much that Gomez could never really get started. And I think that all of the grappling really tired her out by Angela Hill. So that was cool to see. What about my boy Dontel Mays? He takes an L to Nascimento. I feel like Dontel Mays, I think he had a good game plan as far as he was looking to try to counter-strike Nascimento, and he was kind of baiting him with his head movement, and he wanted Nascimento to throw some heavy shots, and then he could slip the shot and then catch him. I had 2 problems with this, and this is no disrespect to Dontel Mays. Shout out to him representing the 502 Louisville, Kentucky. But, bro, I didn't like the fact that he kept his hands down because Nascimento is actually a really quick striker, really fast striker for heavyweight. And his punches are crisp and they're straight, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, I felt like he needed to have his hands up for a higher guard and then try to slip the shots to try to counter. Because having his hands down, Nascimento was just too quick and he ate a lot of shots. Now, he never got wobbled or anything, but he ate a lot of shots. But, Nascimento's got quick hands for a heavyweight. I believe the game plan of Dontel Mays would have worked better for a slower heavyweight, but Nascimento's got fast hands. Nevertheless, he goes out there, gets the win by decision. Again, shout out to Dante Mays. I'm anxious to see where he goes from here and what's going to happen for him. Shout out to him representing Louisville. Let's move on. We also, as I check my Nizzotes, Kao Baraujo went out there and defeated Abis Magomedov. Look, Kao is looking good, man. He's looking good at middleweight. He's definitely a prospect. What I like about him, and it kind of fits the moniker of his team, the Fight Nerds, I like that he really tries to game plan for these fights. And it looked like in the first round, his movement, it was working, but then it was working, but it wasn't working to the level he wanted it to. So then he made some adjustments going out there in the second round. And I like his game planning. It's good to see, right now, so many UFC fighters are outstanding athletes. And also, they're starting mixed martial arts at like 7 years old. At 7, these kids they outside kicking trees, barefooted, just kicking trees. And, they're like grappling at 4 years old, becoming black belts by 12. You know what I'm saying? And in this world, there are so many good athletes. There are so many guys and women that start at an early age practicing mixed martial arts that sometimes you start watching these fights and you're like, where's the game planning? A lot of the times you see so many times, so many of these fighters rely totally on their natural attributes and them being good athletes. So it's good to see fighters actually go out here and still game plan and get the win that way. You know what I'm saying? So outstanding for him. Good to see him. Going to be anxious to see where he goes from here. How about Elvis Brenner sent a man to the shadow realm, sent his spirit floating up amongst the stars. So that was good to see. Big win by him. How about Renat? Might have gotten exposed on the feet. He fights Dos Santos to a draw. But I will say, Renat was not looking good on the feet. I did not like his striking. I'm not sure what was going on with that, but he needs to tighten that up a little bit. No disrespect to him. How about Victor Petrino sending Modestas Bucayas? He sent him beyond the shadow realm. You know what I'm talking about? He sent that man's spirit into a whole other galaxy, a whole other astral plane. You know what I'm talking about? Look, shout out to Modestas' family. I hope they're all right. I hope he's okay because a man lost his life on Saturday night is all I'm saying. Because Victor Petrino hit him with that left hook of doom, that left hook of death. Did he borrow Poatan's left hook of death? I don't know what happened there, but Victor Petrino took a man, disconnected him from consciousness, and it was over. And it was outstanding to see. Outside of that, though, decent little night of fights, wasn't the best. It was a little boring at times, but nevertheless, it was all right. But just wanted to drop in, tap in with you guys, let you know what was going on, what we are building up to. The UFC is going to be in Madison Square Gardens in New York this Saturday night. We have a interim heavyweight championship on the line. We have Poatan, Alex Pereira, stepping in there with Yuri Prochazka. You know what I'm talking about? The fight that we've been waiting months, a striker's delight. What we've been waiting to see. So we're going to break all of those fights down, that whole card down. There's a lot of good fights on it. We're going to be breaking that down here in the next day or so. But I just wanted to drop in, talk about these 3 mega fights that were signed as well as last Saturday's fights. So again, guys, please like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you agree. If you disagree, is it Matt or is it fact? Fact being your word versus mine. Let me know what you think. We want to grow this channel. We want to get big. I want to get a sponsorship from DraftKings. Holla at me, DraftKings. I still bet with you on Saturday night. Yo, please, guys, let me know what you think about everything. Nevertheless, I appreciate you all for joining me for another episode of Matter of Fact MMA. And I'll check you next time. Peace.